What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the GoodeBaker podcast. I am Nick Baker, and across from me, Shane Good.
Yo, yo, yo.
And we are here to talk to you about some video games. But first things first, I want to remind you guys to go over to Apple Music, Spotify, and Google Play stores to get the audio version of the podcast. We really appreciate the listens. Also, review us over there. 5 stars only, though, because anything less than that is just terrible. Also go over to the YouTube channel, give us a subscribe there, comment and like on any of the things you want to comment and like on any of these podcasts, because there's a lot to them. And also go over to our Facebook and Instagram pages and give us a follow there to keep up with us and make sure you never miss a show, because we always post there as a secondary outlet. Without further ado, this is going to be a very PS5 front-loaded episode. We're going to be talking about impressions, the game, the launch lineup, everything that I've been playing. But we also have some impressions from our good man Shane here on some of the tech demo-y stuff that the PS5 throws out there for you. And we are hoping to get a little bit more of an Xbox impressions thing maybe going on a little next week. So we'll come back to you with that later down the line. But as for today, what have you been playing, my man?
All right, dude. So I've been, the usual. I played a little bit of League. I mostly just play League. I played a little bit of League this week. I've watched a lot more anime than I normally do, which is taking up a lot more of my time. But I think that as of current time, League of Legends is pretty much unplayable, and it does this every season. At the end of every season, right around now, and it will go all the way until like January, the game's just fucking awful. I mean, the game's awful anyways, but the game is really awful right now. They're just like all the mage items. So like I talked about last week, that they changed every item in the game basically, and that they redid all the items. Da 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 da. This is the balancing of that change. So from now until January, we're basically just gonna see all of those items get rebalanced and retuned over and over and over until the game is playable again. Hopefully by January.
So I'm going to be like muting in and out here because we're going to have the dog freaking out in just a second, because our good buddy Rick just got home. So we'll bounce around that, but keep talking.
Oh, perfect. Well, to make it simple, right now, if you are a AP or ability power mage, or any champion ability power assassins, whatever you might be, if you use ability power, you are probably really fucking broken and unkillable in most areas. The champions, anything that uses ability power, because all of the ability power items are just really, really overtuned, are just crazy strong. Like Lysandre's Torment used to be a good item. Now Lysandre's Torment is so good you can use it on a character that is literally doesn't even scale off of AP. You can use it on an AD champion just to create burn, and you can use another item called what is it? Demon's Anguish, I think it is, which allows it to stack 2 burns on top of each other. So you can burn a target twice, and it also, if you have the, like depending on the champion itself also applies a burn or a poison. So you can burn as much as 3 times, or burn twice and poison once. It is as broken as it sounds. Yeah, you can't live if you're a tank. It just melts through everything.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
So they have some flip-flopping to do over there at Epic.
Riot.
Oh wait, no,
yes.
Riot, Epic. I get them confused all the time.
Well, yeah, Epic fail right now, so.
Yeah.
But that's just one of the various things you can do to break the game very quickly. So, yeah, that's what I've been doing, trying to learn how not to get fucking, destroyed, even though it's impossible right now. But what have you been playing, man?
So I've been playing a lot. I've been jumping around quite a bunch on a ton of the new launch titles. I played the new Call of Duty. Wasn't really impressed with that. Played Bugsnax, Spider-Man, Assassin's Creed, Demon Souls. I've played them all on the PS5 side, and Man, it's a lot, but I'll definitely go into more depth with the big topics of the week. Sorry, this dog's distracting the shit out of me.
It's all
Um,
good.
uh, but yeah, I've been playing a ton, and we'll get into that. But I wanted to get your impressions of what you've played of the next generation stuff first, so we can get that um, out there. Just because I've done so much more with the PS5 than I think you have, so I'll get into more depth with actually finishing one of the games, and I have a lot more impressions on some of the other stuff too. So, what did you think of what you've played so far?
So, I haven't really played it. I've seen like I've fucked around in the menus and stuff like that, and kind of seen like what's going on in the menus. I did for the PS5. I did that controller simulation thing where you kind of like see what's new and different about the controller. I thought that was pretty cool. Um, Other than that, I've watched a decent amount of like YouTube on the new consoles, because when we go to Ben's house, we always use the consoles to watch YouTube and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, so I've seen how speedy they are, and they are quick. I still don't think they're faster than my computer. They're probably about equal now, um, which they obviously claim that it would be faster and stuff like that.
hmm
Um, I mean, obviously, without a side by side comparison, you know. But other than that, I mean, they're definitely pretty. Like, they look good and they function well. So
right.
there's definitely that going on.
So, getting into the PS5, because I've seen the Xbox um, touched it. I haven't really turned it on or anything like that, but I've seen it unboxed. I've held the controller, so I feels very samey, kind of same old Xbox in that way. But as far as the PS5 goes, they've really kind of made a lot of advancements in. Well, advancements might be a little bit of a strong word, but maybe just changes to what they've been doing.
Mm-hmm.
So the hardware itself, the box itself, is just so strange. It sits really awkwardly in any entertainment center that you can possibly imagine. I don't think that it really fits anywhere. I can't even stand mine straight up in in the area that I have mine in right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I have it laid down, but um, the UI is what I'm really most impressed with. I think, other than the controller and the games and whatever. But it's strictly if we're talking about just the box itself, the UI is definitely leaps and bounds ahead of where it was before.
Oh yeah.
Actually, getting my hands on it now, it's so fast. Everything's snappy. The um, separation of games and media at the top of the bar makes things so easy to find. You can just flip between those two tabs and drop down, find your games, go back up, go to the right, drop down, find all your media apps, YouTube, and the like. So it's really organized in that way, and I really enjoy that they really didn't change too much fundamentally about the cross media bar, where it's you're selecting tiles, you're going across this line of stuff, so everything's in your face, ready to go if you want to um, have it at your fingertips. The one thing that I will gripe a little bit about is and this doesn't really bother me much, but I can see this might be a problem for somebody that maybe doesn't have great eyesight or anything like that. The tiles are pretty small, and
Hmm.
looking at them from distance, like the UI, it's super crisp, nice 4K, but everything is really really shrunk down as opposed to the PS4's UI, where everything was really big and you could read everything from a good distance away.
Yeah. I could see that. I,
But
I'm surprised they don't
other
have a way to change that.
they might. I haven't really looked into the accessibility features too much, but just at first glance, that's kind of one of the things that I take away from it is like, oh well, if I'm looking for things to be detrimental to this, I'd be like, well, things are kind of small. The the bad things that I can really think of off the top of my head, I would say is they still have the problem of all of your games are just kind of smattered across the cross media bar, and it's just based on what you've played last. So if you're really into a game and you want to keep going into that game, it's really easy to get back into that. Obviously, they have the sleep mode function where when your console goes down, you boot it back up and you're right where you left off in your game now. But
Right.
if you're switching from game to game, things can get muddled. Or if you're playing more than I think like five or so games is the limit on that top bar, and then you have to start going into your library. So if you're playing any more than five games at any given time, and this week's kind of a strange week for me. Otherwise, I usually am playing like one or two, flipping back and forth. But I've had the problem of just trying to going in there trying to find bug snacks that I hadn't played since the first night I got the console. I'm like, oh, well, I have to go down here in the library. And granted, everything's fast and snappy, and I appreciate that more than anything.
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, it's one thing that I'm a little less happy about. I need like some sort of organization. Like they had folders at the end of the PS4's life cycle that last like 2 or 3 years, that really helped organize things. And you could put like games that you play frequently in that folder. You just click in there and you're ready to go. You grab whatever you're playing at the time. But
Yeah.
load times are crazy, crazy fast, especially coming from the PS4 and Xbox One, where things just took way longer and longer and longer as the generation went on. To the load times are just getting ridiculous, and now it just feels like a whole new world jumping into the solid state drives that we have now in the consoles. And um
Oh,
i'm i'm
SSDs.
I'm so happy that now we're on level playing field, and
Oh,
I can finally see what it's
easy there.
like to be a PC gamer.
Easy there. We're not on level playing field.
Oh, no, you're right. I do have the dual sense, and you gotta stick with your mouse and keyboard. But
Oh, I mean,
uh,
I mean,
it's all right. You might not be able to feel your haptics there in your fingertips, but
oh no,
I get it.
I can't have the tension of actually pulling a bow, but luckily I can see somebody literally from the other side of the map in Battlefield because I have a $2,000 gaming rig. But whatever, dude. Whatever.
You mean wall hacks?
Yeah, whatever, dude. Whatever. Name hacks.
Whatever. Yeah,
Yeah,
whatever.
I used to play a lot of SOCOM, and there used to be, because it was on PSP, you used to be able to use something called e-tags, and it literally,
E-tag.
yeah, it was exactly that. It was like wall hacks before wall hacks were wall hacks. It was all about just, it would show the player's name above the
Oh,
player
okay.
anywhere's
Right.
on the map, so you would always
Yeah,
know what player was where.
that was a big Counter Strike hack too, because I remember that one early on. Is just like all you
Hmm.
could see through all of the walls is just people's names, and this guy is just like jittering around, killing them all. It's like, oh man, this is
Yep.
terrible. This is terrible. But I'm clearly pumped that now we have these new consoles and we're getting through the bugs and the problems of the first launch, and we're eventually going to get some really great stuff. And if the launch lineup's anything to base that on, I'm so excited for next year, because there are going to be so many exclusives for PlayStation. There are going to be great exclusives for Xbox that are just going to go at it tooth and nail. And
Oh yeah.
competition is great for us, the gamers. So I'm really excited to see what goes on there. But now that with the PS5 box impressions out of the way, the games is really what I've been just kind of soaked in this week. And the one game that I have actually, you know what? I'll start with the game I played first, which I did say was Bug Snacks.
Ooh, bug snacks.
A little a little bit of me is so enjoying the game, but
Hmm.
the rest of me is so shocked that it's actually a good game. Like I'm actually having a good time trying to figure out the little puzzle aspects of how to capture each of the different food related creatures in the world. It shocked me in the way that um, coming into it, it's such a joke, like, oh, Bug Snacks, what a crazy name, and it's such a weird premise, and all these characters are super duper goofy. But when you get in there and you get to the heart of what it all is, and you're capturing these things and you're taking them back to these NPCs that you need to feed them to, and
Hmm.
uh, you start learning the NPCs' names and their stories and how they're so creatively crafted and folded into this weird and wild world that they've created, and everything just seems so perfectly fit into this ethos that they've kind of crafted for this world, that it kind of blows you away with the amount of creativity that they put into this game. Um, that being said, it is probably the weakest game I've played um, so far on the PS5.
Damn, dude. Damn, all that build up, and then you're like,
Yeah,
whew,
it,
it
and
sucked.
no, it's not that it sucked, and that's kind of why I wanted to build it up. Is that it's not that it's a bad game, but it kind of shows how great the rest of the lineup is, because Spider-Man is such a totem for this new PS5 generation. It stands head and shoulders above anything else that I've played so far. Um, that includes Assassin's Creed, that includes Demon Souls,
Hmm.
and obviously Bug Snacks and the new Call of Duty, if you can really call that a next gen game. But we'll get into that a little bit later. Um, I want it to be more of a testament to how much this game really snuck up on me, and I think how it'll sneak up on a lot of people. The hilarity that you'll get into, the weird, funny puns and jokes that they make constantly in the game is it's just a lot of fun to just run around that really colorful world and just trying to figure out the puzzles of it all. So
I got you.
that is my impressions of Bug Snacks. But let's get to the meat, because Spider-Man Miles Morales is the game that I've finished first on the PS5, and it took me really no time at all because I romped through it. I ate every little bit of it, and I enjoyed it so much. It stands ahead of the original, the 2018 Spider-Man. It's better than that game. It's better than any of the launch games that I've played so far,
Damn.
and it's strictly because of the style, the story, the music. It brings everything that you want in a really tight story superhero game together to make such a juggernaut of a launch game. And it's so short too. The campaign runs about 8 hours, 8 or 9 hours, and if you're really doing everything like I did, you'd probably be in there for like maybe 15 or 16 hours, enjoying the New York City at Christmas time. And it's so brilliant. At moments in the game, you just look out at the city, and now with all the new tech and hardware that they're putting into the new PS5, it's a showcase for all of it, and it just blew me away. I the the story, without getting into spoilers, is such a heart wrenching and heartfelt story about a kid that gained superpowers and is just learning how to use them to defend his family and his city. And at the heart of it, that's what Spider-Man is, and that's what makes it such a fantastic game.
Hmm.
Um, the mechanics that they've changed for Spider-Man Miles Morales from the original, they've kind of trimmed the fat, so to speak. They've taken away a lot of the gadgets that Peter Parker would use. Um, they've narrowed it down from 8 to 4 gadgets in this game, but the gadgets really seem important, and each gadget that you obtain has a side mission associated with it, and each item you get, there's a cutscene for it where it's important how you get the item. It's important what the item means to Miles
Hmm.
and how he comes about figuring it out. Um, yeah, I can't say enough good things about it. I would give it a 10, honestly, if I were rating it, because it grabbed me from start to finish, and I honestly couldn't put it down um, for more than the time I had to sleep and go to work. I'd come back and that'd be all I was doing. So
I mean,
I had a blast with it.
that's pretty sick. Have you seen the new thing that that people are doing with this particular one as well?
Yeah, yeah, I've seen the brick glitch, or there's a brick glitch, there's a trash can glitch.
Yep.
You can turn yourself into a pile of snow too. It's nuts.
Yep. There's a lot of really fun stuff with this one.
Yeah.
There's that or those rather. There's also people are they did it with the last one too, and I always find it really interesting when people do it. They
Mhm.
People that live in New York will find their exact apartment and
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
they'll like show the view out the window of like where he's standing like against the wall. There's always like I don't know, there's always just little fun things that people do when it comes to like those particular games. So
Yeah, it is. It's really awesome to. I mean, it would be fantastic if we ever got a game that actually took place in Maine, and
what do
we
you
would
mean?
be able to like
We
walk
have a game.
around and what are you talking about?
Fallout.
It's, that was
Took
not real locations though.
Yeah, it took place in Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, but I don't think they went to Bar Harbor and mapped it out and like as skillfully and as fully as
Yeah.
Spider-Man went and mapped out Manhattan.
Yeah, that's probably true.
But I do remember that, and it was a nice nod to get you know Far Harbor in a Fallout game. But yeah, I don't know the game itself. It didn't surprise me because I was really excited for this game. Obviously, I had talked it about it almost no, not even close to as much as I talked about Cyberpunk. But
Yeah, I don't think anything's gonna beat Cyberpunk in the next 2 years.
dude, oh, ooh, I can't wait.
If
But
it comes out, I
this
mean, I don't know at this
this
point.
was such yeah, this was such a good pacifier for me to wait for that game. And calling it a pacifier is an insult because the it's such a great standalone Spider-Man game that I don't think anybody was really expecting when they announced that it was Spider-Man Miles Morales and not Spider-Man 2. Everybody was kind of shaken. They were like, "Oh, it's going to be a shorter story. It doesn't mean it's going to be, you know, less impactful."
Yeah.
And I just want to put all those worries to bed because it is no less impactful. If not, it's more impactful. The ending will have you on the edge of your seat, and the cinematic cutscenes and gameplay of each boss fight and each enemy encounter even are just so over the top, so PlayStation. If you've paid attention to them in years past, this is just where they've been going with their games, their first party games. They're just turning them into movies that you play, and I couldn't be happier with it.
I mean, they definitely look fantastic.
Yeah,
I didn't see all of the gameplay, but like I said, they definitely look fantastic. Almost as good as, what I run on computer, almost.
almost. We'll get there, and then you'll just nose out again. But
I was gonna say, right when you think you're on the edge, I'll upgrade my graphics card again because it's about that time. And then
right,
we won't be close anymore.
all right. Moving on. Assassin's Creed Valhalla was the next game I dipped my toes into.
Oh boy.
Um, and this one is going to take some time. So I started it and realized how deep I was getting myself into. I stopped. I was like, all right, I'm going to need like a day to really get into this game, get immersed, and figure that all out. I started at like 10 o'clock one night, and I was like, okay, I'm going to be up all night if I try to figure this out right now. So
Yup.
uh, the interesting thing that they're doing in this one, just right off the bat, because I think I have like an hour or two into it, is they give you the option to choose female or male, or there's a third option that they call the default option, which allows the animus to choose your sex depending on story situations, which I'm not sure I'm a fan of at this point because uh, I'm I don't really know how that will feel. I haven't changed at all in the game, so I've played as far as I have into the game, and I still haven't changed sex at all. So I'm not sure how that's actually going to play into any of the story. But I find it really weird that your character would change at any point in the game, and maybe I'm like towing on sensitive lines here, but I don't know. It does seem like a really strange choice to have you kind of flip flopping in that way. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's a really cool story element that kind of comes in and um, makes that all make sense. But
Mm-hmm.
at this point, at this juncture, I'm like, oh, that's an odd choice. I think. Um, but they obviously they do give you the option to choose one or the other if you want to, but the default option, you want the story the way they intended it to be. So I dove right in there, and so we'll see. I'll have some more impressions on that later, but the gameplay itself um, is elevated, I think, from Odyssey. They have dual wielding now, which is awesome. That should be in every fucking game. I love that so much.
The
Just
dual
being able to
wielding's cool.
pick up a single-handed weapon and just start swinging it around with both hands, or grab a shield. You have shields in both hands. Like it's a wild time, and that makes combat so much more interesting, so much more fun, in my opinion. The way that they're doing the ability tree now is completely different, where you're working your way through a tree to get a skill rather than just kind of treeing out skills that are already mapped out for you.
Mm-hmm.
So you get like a plus 1.5 damage with your um, main melee attack or your quick melee attack, and it kind of staggers up a ladder to eventually you'll get the stomp ability. And the
Mm-hmm.
stomp ability is like when they're on the ground, you can just curb stomp them and pretty much finish all their health and kill them that way. But I think that way of unlocking skills is really interesting. Um, but other than that, I haven't really gotten too deep into the story. It it starts off in an interesting way. I want to see more of it. Um, so I guess that's good. It kind of has me grasped there. But um, yeah, that's pretty much everything I have for Assassin's Creed. Um, Demon Souls is another one that I kind of just flipped on for like an hour, and it's Demon Souls for sure. They remastered it, remade it, and it's hard still. The
Nice.
first boss that you're spoilers here if you haven't played the original Demon Souls, the very first boss that you encounter in the game, you're not actually supposed to beat. You could, but you're not actually supposed to beat them. You get trounced, and I forgot that. So I'm like swinging, I'm rolling around trying to figure this boss out, and I just get slapped once, and it's like, all right, well,
Yeah.
nice knowing you, and you're back to this where the main story really begins, and you start being talked to by this witch-like woman, and she resurrects you, and that's kind of where I've gotten to in that game. Um, Gorgeous, probably the best-looking game up there next to Spider-Man. Spider-Man might edge it out just a little bit, which is strange because a lot of people were worried about that because it was coming out for PS4 too, so they weren't able to take all of the PS5's power into consideration. But I think that was kind of unfounded because I loved how Spider-Man ended up looking, and especially at night in that game. But Dark Souls graphics are just ridiculous, and they go bananas with the particle effects and lighting effects. It's such a different experience than it was on the PS3. Just visually,
Mm-hmm. Very dark, very
but it's
souls.
very not dark and very Souls,
Ah.
very very bright, and unlike the original, because the original was very poorly lit in a lot of ways. But
Mm-hmm.
now it's just a completely different game in that way. But in mechanics, they almost completely mapped out the entire uh, game's code. Mm. Excuse me, taking
Almost.
a sip of my coffee. Yeah, there were some things that they changed as far as backstab animations are a little different now.
Mm-hmm.
They're more fluid, which I think improves the game a lot. Because sometimes you would get a backstab or somebody would get a backstab on you, and it just really didn't make sense. Now it's like if you're behind them, you're gonna backstab them if you attack them.
Oh, that's
And
nice.
I really appreciate that because sometimes in the old game you would go behind them and you would do just like a basic swing, and that was not what you wanted to do. There's like seven guys around you ready to murder you, and you needed to kill that guy. You needed those invincibility frames for that second, and you don't get them, and everyone's sad. But yeah, Demon Souls is one of those ones. Again, I'm gonna have to really grind out. Bloodborne was a lot like it, and that game took me like 2 years to finish. So yeah, Demon Souls will be on the old burner for a while,
Yup.
but it's awesome. Looks great, plays great, and I can't wait to play more of it once I'm more equipped. I'd say now that I have Spider-Man down, I have one less game to distract me from that. So
I got
anyway,
you.
we were going to talk a little bit about Call of Duty before we left. Um, the new Call of Duty was very unimpressive. I bought it for Anthony, a friend of the show,
Yup.
and we tried out split screen, which
Oh
not the
yeah, that
best
came
way to
back.
which is not the best way to play Call of Duty. I understand. Um, so then we swapped over to passing the controller back and forth on regular multiplayer, and I have to say I'm still a Battlefield guy. I can't say that I and Black Ops has been my favorite iteration of Call of Duty. Period. I'd say like the Black Ops 1, 2, 3, and now Cold War
Hmm.
uh, are some of the best Call of Duty games that I've played, and the ideas that they come up with at Treyarch are usually some of my favorite ideas that they have for the Call of Duty franchise. But now um, it's not necessarily Treyarch that is messing things up, I'd say, but it's more maybe that this game might have been a little rushed because the zombies doesn't have split screen, so you can't play split screen zombies.
Hmm.
Multiplayer is really kind of wrinkled and cracky. The frame rates dip, and it's really strange. And we were playing on a PS4 Pro, so this could all just be based on old technology. But you know,
Yeah.
the impression I got of the game was maybe it's just made for the next gen and PCs, and they kind of left the the old consoles in the rearview mirror in a few ways. But usually Call of Duty does a really good job of making everything for everybody. So I was pretty unenthused with the newest Call of Duty. Have you seen any gameplay or anything on it?
Yeah, so I've seen a little bit of the gameplay for it. I haven't watched a ton. I watched it was Dr. Lupo play some of it. And it was okay. I've seen more zombies than I have anything. And I don't know. It looked like a Call of Duty game. It's kind of hard for me to tell the difference between the Call of
Mm.
Duty games because they all look like Call of Duty games. Versus like, I'm more of a Battlefield kind of fellow myself. When a new Battlefield comes out, it's always like, holy shit, the differences are incredible. And now
Yeah,
when you shoot that gun, it puts a hole in the wall directly beside him, and if you scope back in, you could see that hole that you just made. Like,
yeah.
you know, it's it's
The
just different.
technical side of Call of Duty definitely kind of pales in comparison to the Battlefield side of things. But
Yeah.
usually, what Call of Duty has over Battlefield is, its server strength and its player count, and
True.
those things, player count aside, server strength I really think is lacking. Where it still takes a decent amount of time to get into a game. And I know that's not the player count because the game just came out. The servers when you actually get on there are wonky, and lag is definitely an issue
Hmm.
there. But the game just doesn't feel a whole lot different than if I were to jump into Warzone right now, and that game
Yeah.
is free, and this they're asking $60-$70 on some platforms for this game. So I think it's kind of a hard ask, and it's probably the hardest time they will possibly have selling a new Call of Duty with, Warzone in the market right now. So we'll have to see how all those numbers shake out later on when, that comes out.
Mm-hmm.
But that is everything we have for you this week. Make sure you tune in next week because we're probably going to have a guest on to talk about the Xbox. We'll talk about that with him later. If he listens to this, text me. You know who you are. But make sure you go over to Apple Music, Spotify, Google Play for the audio version of the podcast. Hit our YouTube channel up, subscribe there for the quote unquote video. Make sure you go over to our Instagram and Facebook and follow us there for all of our posts about the show, and make sure you never miss one. Until next time, though, peace.